All right, so quadratic functions, okay? We have f of x equals quantity x minus 5 and quantity squared. Well, before we do any inverses, I have to have an x and a y. I do not have a y in this picture, okay? But I know that I can substitute y in for this f of x. So we're going to go ahead and do that and say y is equal to x minus 5, that quantity squared. Okay? Now, notice, well, before I get to that. So, when I'm looking to do this inverse, what do I have to do after I have my x and y? What's the first thing I need to do? I need to switch out my x for my y value. So this is going to become x equals, parentheses, y minus 5 raised to the second power. Okay, so we are still trying to get this y by itself, all right? I have here a set of parentheses, and this whole thing is taken to the second power. So, how do I undo something that is squared? What do I do to undo something that is squared? I need to take the square root. Oops. Okay. So I need to take the square root here, and I need to take the square root over here. Because remember, when you have a square root, it's kind of like there's a little 2 there, but we never put it there. It's kind of understood. So really, when I do this, the square root and the 2 are going to cancel out. They cancel each other out. So on the right, I'm left with y minus 5. And look, the parentheses are gone too, and that is equal to the square root of x. Okay? Now, the thing that we need to remember when we have, and this is kind of like a little sidebar over on the side, if I take the square root of 9, what is the square root of 9? What's the square root of 9? 3. Is there anything else that I could multiply by itself and get 9? How about negative 3? Isn't negative 3 times negative 3 also give you 9? Yeah. So the same thing happens when we take the square root over here. We have to show that it is both the positive and the negative amount. So over here, for that square root of x, we're going to say it's plus or minus x, because we don't know what x is. X is some number, but we don't know what number. But we have to say it's going to be the positive and the negative value together. Now, we're almost done getting y by itself. So what would I need to do here to get y by itself? It says y minus 5, so I need to add 5. That means I need to add 5 over to this side. The 5s are going to cancel out, and I'm left with y is equal to, that 5 I'm going to keep out in front. So my answer is 5 plus or minus the square root of x. Okay? Now, am I done? Not quite, because I want to show that it's the inverse. So my final step is to change this to be that inverse of f of x. So to rewrite it, I should have made a little space right there. My final answer is the inverse of x is equal to 5 plus or minus the square root of x. That is your final answer. So the inverse of x is equal to 5 plus or minus x. So here for letter B, I have g of x is equal to quantity 8 plus, or x plus 8 n quantity squared. I need to find its inverse, okay? So you're thinking, oh, I need to swap out my x and y. I don't have a y. We need to put a y into this function. Where am I going to put the y? Aslani, where am I going to put the y? Yeah, in place of the g of x, right? So this is going to become y equals x plus 8 squared. Great. All right. Go ahead and see if you can do the next step. What is the next step? If we want to try to find the inverses. This is just crazy. I don't know which one to show. So what did you do for the next step? Did it not have my name up there just a second ago? Maybe it didn't. Oh my gosh. It did, and then it didn't, and now it does, right? It doesn't have my name up there? Okay, but it's flitting back and forth, isn't it? Pen to this. So as we are finding inverses, we need to swap out the x with the y. So I'm going to make this, I get this up a little higher, x equals parentheses y plus 8 and parentheses squared. Come on, Trey. Come on. All right, so I've swapped out my x and my y. I need to get y by itself. Now, I've got those parentheses there, and that says I have to keep the y plus 8 together for now. Well, how do I undo that squared part? I need to take the square root, which means I need to take the square root on the other side. So when you take the square root of something that is squared, that cancels everything out. And so I have just y plus 8 on the right is equal to the square root of x. Now remember, that square root of x has to show the positive and the negative amounts. So finally, one more step to get y by itself. I need to subtract 8. I need to subtract 8 here. The 8's are going to cancel out. Over here, I cannot combine those terms. I'm going to put that negative 8 out in front, plus or minus my square root of x. And that is equal to the y. And I'm thinking, hey, that looks pretty good. But there's one more thing I need to do. I can't leave it like this. What do I have to do? I need to change that y to show that this is the inverse of f of x. And that is -8 plus or minus the square root of x. Okay? And there it is. So that takes you all the way from g of x, that function of g, up. You know what? Technically, this would not be a perfect answer. Why? Can anybody tell me why? What function did I start with? I started with g of x. So I don't really want to have the inverse function of f of x at the bottom. It really should be the inverse function of g of x. There. Now it's perfect. Okay? Now it's perfect. So this is how you find the inverses of quadratics. Very similar to what we did with the inverses of the linear types. Just we have the squared amount and we have the square root. So if you have something that is squared, you want to take the square root to get its inverse. Okay. All right. So I am going to stop there for today. Homework number 2 is due on Friday. Since we have extra time right now, I do want to see people with their homework out. Okay? Do not put all of your things away. I want to see homework out. Elijah, I know you just heard me. Okay? Everybody, let's take out your homework. Okay?